Well, it's an interesting question because running, just like any terminal activity, almost has its own set of rules upon itself.
Hmm.
So I would not suggest, so let's say this person is successful. We can define success that they're running the times that they want to run
Yeah.
and they're not in pain.
Hmm.
So how does the joint by joint help them? Well, the technique that they're using to run may just have a lower standard than what the standard would be for an MMA fighter or a football player or a basketball player.
Hmm.
So we can still help these individuals because if that runner that you see has a very short range of motion during their run, their technical skill, well, is that their choice? Because you may find that they have wild mobility and they're just running that way. And this is okay. This is basically they're fine. They do not need more mobility. So we shouldn't always assume that because a technical skill is short of mobility exhibition, that the person is really, really tight.
Yeah.
Now, this is one concept. However, if you check them and they are, really right up against their barriers of their mobility, number one, maybe they're being forced to run that way because they don't have any more range of motion. Because they would feel wrong or not feel comfortable running, they could be slow, or they would start to have threat perception. They just maybe it wouldn't be pain, but they would feel something that was inappropriate. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, if we start to give them mobility and we train them with the thoracic spine, the hips, the ankles, the glenohumeral joints, the perhaps they could use a technique that is more flattering to their goals.
Yeah.
More importantly, when the joints move over larger excursions, and this goes for all joints,
Hmm.
there's motor oil, if you will, in all of our joints, and this is called synovial fluid.
Hmm.
The synovial fluid coats and bathes the sides of the joints, and it staves off degenerative or arthritic changes. That obviously, if we're active, we're accelerating that process. This is a very good thing. This is not a in order to be active, it's not this death sentence that we start to beat up on our joints. Because the more we move our joints, the more the synovial fluid swishes around. So if you cannot explore your range of motion, then you are accelerating arthritic changes. Because if you can't explore the range of motion, then you're not swishing around the synovial fluid. It may only cover certain areas of the joint
Hmm.
that does move.
Yeah.
So this is why it's very, very important for runners that have this short stride to make sure that they don't lose maybe the stride that they don't want, but it's one that they have to have for movement health versus what they're doing is movement capacity.